reactivate the DNS proxy and it's okay.
You want to just start this
I made
meeting.
A good point.
You made a good point,
Whoa.
and we are here. This
We're
is
early.
the San Carlos Computer Club. We are early, but I figure as long as we're talking about good stuff and we're enjoying each other's company, we should probably be doing a real meeting. And your point is valid because Cheryl does banking. You would not do that through a proxy server. You would strictly do that through a VPN. Because of the fundamentals of the technology. The DNS proxy server, the smart DNS proxy server, approximately passes your data through another computer. And so you would not be secure using that to accomplish your ends with the banking. And the bank, consequently, if it was a good bank, should recognize what you're trying to do and say, no, that's not the way we do things. Should say, no, you've got to be here or you've got to get a VPN started. A lot of banks these days support VPNs because they can guarantee the security between one and the other end of the United States. And that would be the only way I would recommend doing banking outside of your local area would be with a VPN.
And Epic works really well because it's not banking, but it's utilities that seem to think I shouldn't act out of the country.
Utilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to go through Epic browser to look at my Colorado.
I got you. On your iDevices to look at your utilities from Colorado, you've been using the Epic browser instead of Safari
or Firefox.
Now, I thought that you were having success using Firefox, and
I am, but not for
the utilities.
Not for their VPN for sure. Epic is much better.
Oh, you're using Epic
through their browser.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it works really good.
Well, we should put that on our recommendations. Epic.
I think it works for
browser.
me
anyway. And it is actually a really good example of a distinguishing or a characteristic between different browsers on the Apple platform. The iPlatform, the iPhones and the iPads, because up until recently they have not allowed other browsers. There are other browsers in name only, but this is a distinction between that. When I say in name only, we've talked about before how the browsers on the iPlatform all have the same motor. It would be kind of like having Nissans and Fords and Chevys, but they all have the same motor inside them. And that's been a stipulation of Apple. It's the only way you can have a browser on their platform for you to use their the European Union's movement, their DMA legislation that's requiring Apple to open up their platform to third-party stores. By allowing third-party stores, you're allowing third-party application developers. Should I put an audio track across that? Yeah, but you got your speakers on.
Hey?
How come we can hear?
I can hear your voice too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just ready for you to start DJing.
But I've used Epic Browser well before this EU thing.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. And that's my point, is that there's the distinction between these two things. You're using it for the VPN.
Yes.
The VPN isn't part of that motor. That's something they've attached to their browser.
Well, Firefox supposedly has one too, but
That's
it doesn't
right.
work there.
Well, and also is another distinction would be they have a password manager that is strictly Firefox. And you can go to other installations or even your mobile device and download the password manager for Firefox, completely sidestepping the Apple password manager. And they're just examples of features you can tack on to that motor.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
You brought a date.
Are you coming to join us for Computer Club?
Well, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome.
I
Come
know
join
I
us.
live on the Caracol. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, that we'll have to think about. Let's see. What was our last standing rule on Caracol people? No, absolutely.
We have to.
Please
It has to
join
go
us.
to a vote.
Yeah.
We have to put it.
Come on.
Fuzzy dog.
We're all just smart asses, so don't. You're welcome to join us.
Well, then I'll fit right in.
Awesome. Good to see you too.
No one's allergic to dogs, are they?
Only defecation. That's.
Yeah, we've had that
that
problem.
happen.
Yeah, we've
We
had
have
that
had
problem
that.
before. We've had a dog come join us before and just poop right in the middle of the room.
No,
Not on me specifically, but on
Oh,
the
okay. I thought it was a member of the club.
We're not that bad.
I didn't,
It was an
It was, yeah.
I didn't bring my laptop. Am I still allowed?
I've got an extra one here. No,
This
Have
is
a
tough,
seat.
isn't it?
please join us. I was just talking about how the difference between the Apple platform and others when it comes to browsers. Judy was telling us about using the Epic browser on her iPlatform, iPad or iPhone, to access utility bills because it has a built-in VPN that she can use to mimic as though she's in the United States.
Sure. Yeah.
I was using that as an example of the kinds of add-ons that get strapped onto the WebKit motor on the iPhone and to distinguish these browsers from different, since Safari and Firefox and Chrome all need to use the same motor. What do you do to distinguish yourself in that marketplace? And you do things like add VPNs to it and bookmark managers and password managers and things of that nature. And so that's a great solution to know about. Now, the tie-in with the European Union's regulations is that outside of the United States,
true.
Apple has been forced to, well, no, that's the wrong way to put that. Inside the European Union, Apple has been forced to open up their platform. And so Apple, in a very Apple way, is going to pay this premium price of running two separate products, one inside the European Union and outside the European Union. And the product is software. I don't think it will include any differences in hardware, but you will have a fundamentally different operating system. And this latest update is this pivot. And I don't recommend updating to it just yet. If you haven't already done 17.4, I would stay away from it until 4.1, 4.2, because as casually as they've released it, it is a major change.
And Cheryl is updating this morning.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait.
Well,
It's a major one because
I can't blame people for not
You
listening
saw
to
that
me.
one?
it was
I don't know
pre
where it went.
club, so
Yeah.
now she's going to be panicking.
Well, that's okay. I'm sure it's going to be fine. I'm just
Yeah, thank
saying that
you.
most of us, the one phone is our primary driver. And there's no reason to get into any problems with it when you can just wait a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and some revision's going to come out, and you don't have to have that problem. You don't have to be one of the first ones with it.
Scott,
Back
do we
to-
charge extra for the dog?
For the, it's the same.
Where's his
dude.
percent?
We're still in smart ass
10
mode.
pesos.
10 pesos. No,
Back to
10 pesos
VPN.
for you.
I've had
We-
Express
was an easy
VPN
way
for
to
Yeah.
at least
go
4
into it.
years, maybe
Mhm.
longer. It's always, or most generally, throws me into LA or sometimes Houston.
Okay,
Up a couple of days ago, and it was Manila in the Philippines.
Oh,
Manila.
Does that have any significance? Was somebody trying to screw with me, or
mm.
I mean, it's not the same country.
Is this on your computer or
Yeah.
on your TV?
On the computer?
On the computer?
Mhm.
Well, Oh, I was just gonna say
'Cause I
that.
use ExpressVPN also.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
if you haven't changed the location, then something goofy has happened. There-
Okay, so change the location. That's easy.
Well, I'm not telling you to
Well,
change the location, but I would definitely check it because, like,
Yeah.
it should say Dallas, it should say
should
Houston, it
say-
should
Right.
something like
No,
that.
it said Manila,
Mine-
PH, or
So,
FH.
so maybe
FI.
it inadvertently got changed.
Yeah.
Maybe it just. I would set it back to.
It has a mind of its own.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
Ray, I don't really know your operating environment, but maybe you brushed
It's
across
kindergarten
something.
level.
Yeah.
You may have, when you log,
Mhm.
you may have, because it may have gone automatic. Because there is an
Yeah,
auto setting there.
I've recently
Yeah, but it
used it.
typically
It's
stays
LA.
in the United States. It doesn't go outside the United States unless you specify
Yeah, this
it.
was
She may
Philippines.
have browsed. She may have
Yeah.
just.
But the ability, I mean, like, do you have a cat? Because the ability to just put some keys and do something goofy.
There is a step beyond that. Ready? Who are you using for your internet? Who's your provider?
Yeah, Juan.
Local.
Oh, X-Pro, are you
X-
using?
You.
No, for
No.
your internet connection. He's
Oh,
asking about.
no. The phone company.
Telmex.
Telmex.
Okay, because ExpressVPN is now offering a router with ExpressVPN built right into it.
Well, they've had that for a while.
Yeah,
Are they
Telmex.
branding it? Are
They're
they branding
they're
it?
branding
Yeah.
it now as theirs.
Because they typically have a list of browsers. They have like
Yeah.
3 different browsers in the market. Or no, I'm sorry, I'm saying browsers when I mean routers. Routers in the market that are compatible with their software, and so you
Right.
can
Now this
flash
has,
their
and this has
software
already
into it.
built in, the firmware is already built in.
That work with the mesh and Starlink because they
Well, you'd actually add one more piece of equipment. You'd right after the Starlink. You'd stick it in between your mesh router and the
And
Starlink.
and worry about that point, providing, having a VPN on your TV, a VPN, having all the ExpressVPNs installed onto your different units, because it would already have been VPN
I'll
coming
have to
out of
think
the
about
router.
that for next year. I'm on DNS proxy, but we'll see.
I apologize for,
He seems to know what he's talking about.
Oh, yes.
I did that last time, yeah.
He seems to have surprised himself.
Say hi to your mom, brother.
no, I was just spending a lot of the.
Well, Jim has joined us. Chester has joined us. My mom, Sandy, has joined us. Welcome.
Well, how's she doing?
Well, I'll turn around. You'll see her right there.
There
Her
she is.
smiling
Looks
face.
good.
We've heard nice things about you.
And if you want to face her, Ray, the camera's right there.
No.
But if she wants to talk to us, she has to turn her mic on.
I have an
There.
update on closed captioning.
Say again.
Yeah.
On closed captioning. I
Please.
went into the things you suggested in
Oh, no.
my Roku settings, and I changed the style, and it worked.
You
That
changed
sounds
the
like a
style?
Roku
The
problem.
style, yeah.
That sounds very much like a Roku problem.
But that was only
The
on
wrong
the
shoes
Paramount
with the
Plus.
outfit. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to casual.
Wow.
Who knew?
Weird, huh?
Yeah, very weird.
Why is everybody using Roku?
I don't know.
Say that again?
Why is Roku popular?
Oh, it's a very solid platform. They've built it into TV sets now. One of the things that I think gave them a real edge a couple of years ago, really solid licensing agreement with content providers to provide live TV through advertising. So free TV through advertising. What that meant, and we talked about it a little bit at the time when we got the TVs for the bed and breakfast, is that you could plug in a TV set, connect it to a Wi-Fi network, and immediately without contract work or paying finally caught up to do. Like just recently have we been able to get Fire Stick guided live TV. They finally figured that out. Whereas Roku, I would say, is one of the first that figured it out. Samsung's another one that has just figured it out.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, gracias, señor.
What about the breach that Roku had?
Yeah,
They're
I read that.
suggesting I didn't get an email, but I changed my password anyway.
Are you talking Roku TV or a Roku plug-in thing?
And so-
Well,
It's not a.
the
well,
breach that I'm not familiar with, I'm sorry, I didn't hear any news on it. It would be referring to your Roku account.
Yeah.
So this is for Roku. It wouldn't be your device.
No, and it said the main problem for people was that if they use the same password on Roku as whatever, that would be the issue.
That would be so that's the classic password breach issue when you've decided to use the same password everywhere. They know what you use as a password and they know what your email address is, and so they can use that to get into other services. Roku password seems to be the best thing you can do, and changing any password that's the same as your Roku password. We've talked in the past about password managers. I think it's the only way you can deal with this stuff now. But methodically, when I change a password, I change it to nonsense using a password generator and never expect myself to remember it anymore.
You don't
What
have
happens
to,
when you
just
lose
have to
it?
remember.
Yeah.
Cream.
I don't know what to tell you. Don't lose it.
So it says,
That's the point of the password manager. You won't lose it.
so Scott, it was Roku hackers breach 15,000 accounts, and they breached it getting the stored credit card information. So this was 7 days ago, and they've sent emails to customers.
Amazing.
It's
So
what it says on The Verge or one of those.
there's
The Verge.
probably. Are you able to pass me that, JD?
I don't know how to pass it to you.
Okay. Well,
Open the is it a share.
TheVerge.com. Let me see if I can share it. Let's see.
But once they get it, can they use it? There usually is enough built-in security in the credit cards to avoid that, right?
well, interesting thought. There's the security of convenience built into the credit cards. We have a marketplace in the United States that really wants us to have the convenience of using credit so they can charge us for it. And so, if somebody gets your credit card number and starts making purchases, you just have to call and say, this isn't me. And they wipe it off your bills, and the
Right.
credit card insurance just eats it, and they go along. They make so much money off of us that's just the price of doing business. But you do have the hassle of it's a stolen card, needs to be replaced. You have the hassle of needing a new credit card number. You have the hassle frustrating problem to have. It's funny, with all the Rokus that have been in my life, I don't think I've ever given Roku my credit card.
Why would you?
I
can't figure that one out.
Well, they're trying to figure out how to get your credit card. I mean, that's their whole business
Well,
is
I
trying to
know it
figure
is,
out
but
how
why
to get
would
you to. But right, exactly. There's so many different ways that I'm consuming content. I don't need to pay Roku for it,
No.
and so I've never given them my credit card. But that is the risk. And 15, fortunately, it
It's
sounds like a
not
big
very
number, but
many.
it's not a big number.
I thought it was pretty small.
That's a really little number. It's hard to even imagine we're in that group statistically. Maybe,
Maybe.
But that's nothing compared to the kind of breaches we've had that are like millions of. So change your password, and hopefully they didn't get your credit card. But fortunately, you're an American, so if they got your credit card, you're not liable for any of that stuff. It's funny, you get people around here asking, how come you guys don't have the code? And it's like, because we're lazy. We just my signature's my code. That's all the security we've got is
I
our
have no
signature.
idea what that means.
Well, it's just like in the European Union, other countries, you have to have your credit card plus a code, or you can't make a purchase.
Okay.
But the United States, they've induced by making you feel secure using it by taking all the liability themselves. And so you can just sign. You don't need a code or anything.
Speaking of codes, the first Amazon Mexico package I received, they wanted a code.
Yeah.
And then after that, no.
It depends on the purchase.
Product.
Yeah, the product and the seller. like without a doubt, like when I bought your mesh network, I needed a password. Sony needed a password for them to even leave it with us because of the value of it, the way it was purchased and who sent it.
So the driver had to come in. We got my laptop. I didn't get an email. So we finally found it.
Yeah, that's become a normal way of doing business. Where are we at? We have VPNs, Roku. I brought a couple of topics, but I'm much more interested in your guys' topics.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Just saying.
Give me a break.
Technology in general?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I just, because of my failing eyesight, I'm on the edge to get the best driverless car I could get. And the new technology now is called Blue Cruise. Ford has it.
Blue
Yeah,
Cruise.
look it up. Ford has it, and I think higher end cars have it.
I saw
And
it.
basically what it is, it's hands-free driving. It's not autonomous. They're probably many years away from autonomous. This is good.
But this is auto drive.
It's the technology for the cars, and this is an advanced thing. They're even charging a you have to rent also besides buying a subscription. You also have to subscribe.
Right.
But it's
It's an option on their new
okay.
cars.
yeah, on certain models.
Well, I'm not familiar with it.
The way it works is driving, but it monitors your eyes. So if you don't look at the road for 15 seconds, then it brings it to your attention.
15 seconds, that's a long time.
Not for a nap. It's really short.
Very short nap.
But when you're driving, 15 seconds is a
Yeah.
long time.
Well, it's
I mean, I can take a lot longer checking my messages in traffic than 15 seconds.
All right. What you need is some kind of an alarm that goes off when you leave the driveway, so the rest of us know.
That's right.
So-
You just drive down the road, beep, beep, beep.
well, what they're selling is hands-free driving.
Certainly, yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
they're
they
selling.
are.
You know, I was thinking about it the other day. I talk a lot about how we're living in this good enough world where, like, it seems like products get to about 85 to 92% accurate, and then we're just using them. There's this move to push it out to production and we'll fix it later kind of attitude towards everything, and that's just not working with auto drive, is it? It's just that needs to be so close to perfect before it's going to be used.
But my car tells me if I leave the lane.
Yeah, I have all that stuff
So-
too, but I don't have hands-free driving.
Well, I wouldn't want it, actually. I looked at that because I was looking
Well,
at new
you-
It's called a
cars.
chauffeur.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
wouldn't want it
28
until you
years
can
old.
rely on it like a
Good
chauffeur.
looking.
When we reach that point,
Well,
Thanks,
hopefully
Ray.
this is safer than a chauffeur, number one. Number two is that I think the technology's there already. I just don't think the road system is there.
Well, I would have to disagree with you, and I think the guy that got drug over under the car to the side of the road would disagree with you too. It's just not quite there yet.
1 out of a billion incidents should
Well,
really be
oh, I
recognized.
absolutely see it from that point of view as well. Yeah, I mean, like there are tragic accidents every day that are happening by human drivers, but I don't think we're going to adopt it until we don't have problems like that with. Until you cannot tell a story like that, people are not adopting to it. It's human nature. That's the problem.
The insurance companies won't let it happen for a long, long time.
You know, bringing up insurance, did you guys happen to catch the daily podcast on smart cars and where we are with privacy and
Mhm.
that? I should have wrote. I'm going to write it in as a recommendation on our document. That it was a really good interview with
Get
somebody
cheaper
that's
insurance rates, but they monitor every second of where you are.
well,
Really?
it's even more insidious than that because they bring that example up as being the good way to do it, putting a dongle in your car and opting in to these programs to get cheaper insurance rates because of your driving. But what this article is talking about is how automotive manufacturers are collecting your data and selling it as part of their business model. And so they've sold it without your knowledge, your driving habits to insurance companies so that it's in your, I don't know, your insurance credit rating report. There's something like that, obviously. And they're using that to decide what you should be paying for rates and whether you should even get insurance.
They're presently doing
This
this?
is happening right now. It's happening
Well, but
right now.
It's an option that allows you to get very low rates.
Well, that's a
It's an
different
option.
situation. That's a situation where you're going into it open-eyed. You're looking for cheaper rates, and your insurance company's giving you these options. You can stick this thing in your car. You can load this app. It will report back to us, and every time you're a good driver, it will reflect on your system so that you can pay cheaper rates.
Is there a time frame on this? When did this collection
This has been
start?
going on
Ongoing.
It's-
Ongoing since when? 2010?
probably the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what it is it's buried in your terms of service that
Mm-hmm.
you allow this happen. I mean, essentially by clicking the button, by buying the car, you've
Agreed.
agreed to this collection of data. Now, once they did bring up, like one of the things that they talked about was this woman that was being stalked by her ex who was abusive.
That was a good part of it. Yeah.
And she had no idea how he kept finding where she was. And it was the Uconnect in their car.
Yeah.
That she connected her phone to. He had full access to it. So he was able to see wherever the car was going. And so he was in law enforcement to get any kind of
And
protection.
he was the one on the car, so she couldn't change it.
I-
That was part of it too.
Uh-huh.
No, that's a very interesting aspect of it as well. Yeah.
Well, this collection of data has been going on, at least according to my son-in-law, since the mid-90s.
Sure.
You know, if you had an accident, they knew how fast you were going, whether you were wearing a seatbelt, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Well, there has been like a black box for
Mhm.
cars for a long time now.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a whole different deal. This is for, you know what? We can make even more money if we sell your driving habits to insurance companies.
I'm
So
in
that's what's
trouble.
going on.
And we aren't going to tell you we're doing it.
And we're not going to tell you
Yeah,
we're
that's
doing
the-
it.
Well, they did. I
Well,
mean,
we
it's
did.
there
They
in the
did.
Well, we did.
We did.
That's right.
that little
Remember,
tiny
Seems like a captured group because of the fact that let's see, well, when I started but
Go ahead. We're patient.
well, just basically that kind of makes sense because we now, at least in our state, require people to have drivers, or not drivers, but insurance, car insurance. You get in a lot of trouble if you don't have car insurance and you get in an accident. I think that's true of most states now. So, you know, it just makes sense that they would do that.
Well, it's insidious in that if you listen to this article, this interview, private cannot get car insurance. or he's paying twice as much as he was before. Not that he's changed his driving habits or has more accidents, but just because they've got this data on the way he stops, you know, the way he starts up, his rate of acceleration. They've got those how quickly he goes into a turn, and they're using an algorithm to determine that he's a dangerous driver, should pay more for insurance.
These guys that wear out a set of brakes every year.
Sure, maybe it is. But the point being that nobody ever thought that was going to be used to determine what you. This is that horror story that we've been told about digitalizing our. Would be that if the insurance companies ever got a hold of our health data, they would directly use that to affect what prices we would have access to, what kind of coverage that we would be entitled to. And this is the same thing, but it's with car insurance. So the whole article is based in all these different areas about the way the cars are collecting information. And I thought it was you could relate to it because we've had those conversations about the TVs, about the phones, about the tablets. Every one of these digital devices that we've introduced into our lives, we've had this about. The cars are just the next thing.
So OnStar is a big one for collecting data.
Yeah. Yeah, it really
has been for a long time.
We should start frowning on this stuff. It seems like what we're watching in the United States is these businesses are being protected by our regulations, whereas in the European Union, the people are being protected by their regulations.
But it's at a point where you can't win, so why fight? They've got all our data, so it doesn't matter how they go about it. We know that. Generalized data, you're absolutely right. Specific data, I'll fight, and you're going to have to pry it from me. I mean, anything that's directly associated with Scott Stimson, I should have some control over it, especially if it's coming from a device that I was thought to own. And there should be an opt out. This is another thing that we've talked about a lot, is a digital persona Bill of Rights, a digital Bill of Rights that protects our digital persona. And on that Bill of Rights, it should be opt out is default. You are never opted into anything you don't. And I feel like you're right when it comes to generalized information. That's disappeared, and I don't think that the fear should be with generalized information. Autonomized information that's out there being used. There are some good examples of why that opinion is wrong. We looked at a New York Times article last year about how they were able to buy from third-party data brokers information that was supposed to be autonomized, generalized, and very quickly with just a couple of data sets, they're able to identify somebody's geographical locations. They could buy this data, and they could start by just knowing your address, and they could go to the map on that and see that's where your house is. And now they can watch that phone leave that house and drive around and do its stuff. All of a sudden they know who you are. They know your whole, and this became an issue because private detectives were able to get a hold of this information. The government, this is an issue right now because the law enforcement is buying spending public funds to find out what you've been doing all week, right? So this is a controversy that's happening right this moment across all walks of life.
And the disturbing part is that the up and coming generations are not offended by that or disturbed by that. They accept it.
Yeah, I don't know if accepted is right. I'm constantly caught off guard. I mean, like you guys know, I have a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. And when I catch up with something they're doing, I've got like, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? And they're like, oh yeah, no, we've done that, and we've done that. We know how to do this stuff.
Otherwise known as sheeple. There's a wonderful line. If God didn't want them sheared, he wouldn't have made them sheep.
So I think that the younger generation is actually a bit more sophisticated when it comes to what kind of information they're sharing. But I don't think that. I think that we need to be very aware of the way data is being tracked, the regulations that are being used. Considered, because it's our community. We don't know what's going on, then how can we possibly make decisions about it?
And I think people are becoming more and more naive in regards to passing along personal information. That it's becoming, as you had said, that it's becoming much more commonplace, and the pain threshold is getting lower and lower. So it's just, oh well, I sign on, and I mean, how many of us all read the terms of service for any service that any online and any SaaS?
No, actually, nobody does.
And even if you do read them, they're very difficult to understand. The
Well,
terminology is such that it's what?
Well, and don't forget that
long.
if you don't say yes, you don't get to use it.
That's
So
right.
it's like you went out and bought a hammer, and then you bring it home and you're reading through everything that's required. Like I got to give up my mother's maiden name. I have to leave it on the internet the whole time. I need to answer a questionnaire afterwards. And like, why would I use this hammer?
That's not true. I don't ask for a maiden name.
No, that's what Facebook quizzes are for.
I wonder if anybody's ever lied about that, given a false name.
Given
What would the bank do? Do they research that?
I have.
You just
They don't-
lie?
They don't know.
Oh, this is good.
But what are you talking about? A false name for what? For
Like your mother's maiden name. If you just make one up.
Well,
You
that's
can
used.
Oh,
Those are used as security.
yeah, you can make
Yeah.
anything you
So
want.
whatever you want.
You just have to remember it.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. You just have to remember it.
Thursday. What was that? There was a joke going around about how someone remembered their password. And so when they put in a wrong password, what is the default if you put in a wrong password? What does it normally come back with?
If forgot username and password or
Something like that.
something like that.
And
yeah.
that's what they put in as their, so that way they would never.
They would always
they would
remember.
always remember their
That's
user
great.
password.
That's awesome.
Oh, darn. Now we can't use that.
Oops, sorry.
But actually, there is no rule that says you can't use. You can use somebody else's password on your system. There's nothing that's going to correlate those two things unless somebody got into your contact list and decided that was the way you were thinking. You can use that.
I've had the experience where I'm trying to get into something I've completely forgot that I was in it once before, maybe 7 years ago or something, and trying to get in as a new person. And it'll come back to me and say that name is already used, and what's the password? And so I'm trying to think of a password and why would I have already be in there? And then you go try to find that password. But I've had that experience where they tell me I'm in and I don't even know it.
Right? Like that email address you're using has already been registered.
Correct.
You should be having that less and less. I mean, that stuff is supposed to disappear in 6 months if it's inactive. So if you've been there within 6 months, you would expect it to be fresh. And I mean, if you've been there after 6 months, if you've gone 6 months without use, you expect to approach it, even if it is the same email address as a new account. You would hope.
Well, I have chemo brain, so I can't always remember exactly when I was doing something, but I do remember that.
And that brings up the exact reason why to have a password management system.
Yeah, because it is better than a black book in that respect.
Well, wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's disagreeing.
Oh no, you were talking about password black books.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What was I thinking?
Yeah, well, it's a real problem when you forget to bring your black book with you too when you travel. I'm locked out of a few things right now. Can't remember the password. Don't have my book.
signatures. Although Scott
Yes, sir.
frowns on me because I still use Norton. But Norton has
A password manager.
password management system. So,
I
Yeah,
think Scott has one on my computer too, but I keep forgetting it. Ah,
yeah, the only thing you have to remember is the password manager, the
Yeah.
password manager's vault password.
yeah.
Password manager's vault password. That's right. That's the one. That's the key. And if you don't have it, you're not getting back into your stuff.
That's right. So you do a reset.
Scott.
Yes, that's
I
right.
need some help.
Get this painful call. Here we are. I've been editing in the wrong document. I'm like, where is all this information that I was bringing
Did
to
you
you
get the
guys?
text I sent you?
I don't know yet. Let me check.
It's been a while.
Have you just started the captions? Because I don't remember it in the past.
You must have turned it on.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
How would I do that? It's rather interesting, but I can't see the turn off microphone. No, that's not it.
Now there is a captions button. Let me see. Where is it? Oh yeah, it's the CC, the square with the CC in it at the bottom of your meet screen.
Okay. Well, right now I'm glad to have it because I can hear everyone then.
Okay, I'm finally looking at what I brought. Bill was talking about the transparent laptop, and I was telling him that I put in a question to Google's AI, how does the transparent laptop screen work? And I've put a quote from that here in the document that I'll read now. The Lenovo ThinkBook transparent display laptop. Let me stop for a second. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? Okay. Also known as the Project Crystal, is a prototype laptop with transparent micro LED display that uses micro LED technology to control light at the pixel level. The display has a high contrast ratio that can reach 1,000 nits of brightness, which Lenovo says makes it visible in any light condition. When the pixels are at maximum brightness, the display appears opaque. Dimming them increases the transparency. The prototype has a resolution of 720 pixels. So as cool as this technology looks, it's not up there. This is like a fourth of high definition. It is not too.
It's a little grainy.
Yeah, it's not to the par of what we expect displays to be. It's a bit above VGA. It's just a hair above VGA.
Atari.
What it follows with, but Lenovo is confident the micro LED technology will continue to evolve and provide better imaging quality and durability. So one of the questions that we had the other day was, can you see the data from the other side of the display? It does not have case.
You can't even see it from the right side.
Yeah.
Well, you can see it.
Yeah, but you can't
You
tell what
can see it in big blocks.
That's called lens replacement surgery.
Exactly.
But I thought that was interesting. I posed that question in Google search, and it came back with a generative AI answer for me as the first thing. I did not go to Gemini.google.com to ask this question. I just stuck it right into the Google search engine. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the Google Assistant app, if you've got that installed in your phone, at the very top, they've got a selector now. So you can select between standard Google search and AI search. And you can do that right from your phone.
Speaking of AI, I use it a lot now in reference to blog and article creation. Has anyone here or anyone joining us been utilizing, whether it be ChatGPT or whether it be any of the other AI systems in regards to document creation or anything along those lines?
We've had a lot of fun playing with it. I've used it a lot. I've used Gemini when it was Bard, now Gemini, to write a lot of code, a lot of Visual Basic code. And I've also used it to like cleanup wording I've got on web pages for the businesses that I
Sure.
take care of, things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not to be used as a replacement,
Right.
but as a tool. And the funniest thing is I'm extremely active on LinkedIn, and you can always tell someone who has written an article or created a posting created strictly by ChatGPT or something along those lines. It has that kind of flavor to it. So what I've done is that I may go, yes, please. I may go through 4 or 5 or 6 versions and then personalize it myself once I've selected that final version that I like. But it is incredible in regards to, especially for blog postings and article creation, to use as a foundation.
well,
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
go at the end. Yeah.
No, it is definitely
It's
it's definitely part of the
Mhm.
tools that
Is
we
that a
use now.
No.
And that being said, this is a good lead into
It's-
one of these articles I brought.
I
The
can read it.
Chat GPT-4 is free, available in Copilot now. It used to be that you would have to pay to have access to that. The free version of Chat GPT was their version 3.5. But if you're using Copilot from Microsoft, then you've gotten a free version of Chat GPT-4 to use. Much more sophisticated. I think we were playing with it the other day, having it do image generation for us.
Alien on a horse.
An alien on a horse. That's right. Whoop. Wrong.
Is that my ex-wife?
I wouldn't know.
All right, you're back.
Boarding house reach.
Why do I only see myself? There we go. So yes, there isn't a whole much to announce here, but if you've been looking for playing with AIs, 4 is definitely much more sophisticated than 3.5, and this is the first time we've had access to it without having to pay for it. So you can find Copilot in a number of Microsoft's products. You can also find it right from the click button in Windows 11. It's right there on the start bar. I believe it's in Windows 10 as well, but I think you have to be on the Insider's build to get access to it. Not that I'm not recommending people to go ahead of what's been released. That would be a bad computer consultant guy, but I personally would be doing stuff like that because I like things that break, so I have to fix them.
You got kids going to college.
I think it's just I don't have that list of things that really. Do you have a list of things that you would?
Knowledge.
Yeah.
4 was personalized.
Language models, like you were able to put your own data
Own
into
data
4.
in, and it was
So
I
thought-
held specifically for you.
So I thought that was a distinction between the pay and the free, but not necessarily the version different. Like I would imagine.
4 was the pay version, and
Mhm.
3.5 was. Now I'm not sure what the new.
Yeah, because I'm under the impression that regardless of the version, if you're going to create your own language models, you need to pay the subscription fee.
Correct.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I think what you're describing came along with 4,
Correct.
but it's not a distinguishing characteristic of 4. It's a distinguishing characteristic
Of the pay
paid
version.
tier.
Of the pay
Yeah.
tier. Which then allows you to personalize documents and articles and be able to teach it, and it stays proprietary.
I think this is a great use of this. I'm trying to talk this organization into Phoenix into playing with this idea that we could put, like I write these programs that create reports out of this data we collect, and the data is all collected in tables. And if I could stick all of that into an AI, these questions I get asked, we could just ask the AI, how much work did Owen do last week, right? And it would make a report out of,
And just feed it out of an API.
yeah, that's right.
And do we need Scott anymore?
Exactly.
Oh, we definitely need
I was just
Scott. There's
thinking
no
that
question
myself.
about it.
Depends on the logarithm.
But you know what it
Virtual
reminds me of?
version.
Yeah,
virtual Scott.
What you're always going to need Scott. What it reminds me
Spoken
of
by
though
Scott.
is I used to have this thing. I really get frustrated solving silly problems. I get frustrated with problems that are Microsoft problems that they should have taken care of themselves, and somebody's paying me to come over and fix settings that should have just been intuitive. As operating systems have become more sophisticated and more bulletproof, it's allowed me to work on much more interesting problems. And I look at these AIs as exactly the same thing. I don't like working on silly problems. Like we need a report that will show production over the last month. Well, it takes me a month to build this report, but now they have a tool. But why would I even have to build that tool if we had an AI that could just read all that data and we could tell it to generate that report? They don't need that report anymore.
So therefore, you're annoyed by us all the time.
Yes.
Boy.
My
That's why
ulterior
you
motive
like-
for being here,
That's why
aside
I
from
like-
feeding my narcissistic tendencies,
Yeah.
is to make sure that I get to solve intelligent problems by slapping the easy ones down quickly.
Whose definition of an intelligent problem?
He's digging himself.
I
a
am.
Oh,
big
you're
I'm
defining
totally.
intelligence.
I'm
Big
the one
hole.
that's personalizing it all.
He's the expert. Or-
But I do think that, at least in this time period, I don't think that AI is going to replace any jobs except for jobs that probably needed to be replaced. It is not sophisticated enough to replace a person, but it is sophisticated enough to replace a workflow. And so if your whole job was a particular workflow, then you might have just lost your job. But it's not replacing intelligence. It's replacing that workload, if you follow my distinction.
And that's part of where within the trucking industry, there's a push in regards to the folks that are pushing AI and thinking that it will speed up the process in regards to driver recruiting and help eliminate costs involved with driver recruiting. Except the problem being there is that simply because you're doing something lousy but doing it faster doesn't make it better.
Sure.
That's
The old adage, garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage
Yeah.
And with my business, we promote the adage of that less is actually more. So slowing down the process and being much more deliberative in a sales presentation and true sales than in just throwing applications up against the wall and hoping that drivers will stay.
Hey, not to mention the whole generative AI stuff that we've got going on is a year old in the consumer market starting this November.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
wow, right? It's
Yeah.
turned everything upside down in less than a year. This stuff is not dialed in. We should be concerned about it. The experts told us to be concerned about it, and the market said, no, we're going to put it everywhere. We're not, screw the concerns for safety, even though the experts in these fields worked very hard to restrain how this stuff was being used because they saw the potential for harm out there. But, you know, that's not how we do things. You're pro-business. We take risks in this world, especially in our country.
However, there are three pillars, and that is that character, integrity, and honesty do count.
Yes, absolutely.
So use them.
And that's what they threw out the window when they decided Sam Altman was correct and that they should be selling AI in everything. They gave up on that. What else we got going on? We went through the see-through display, Chat GPT. I think I only brought one other thing. The sound laser. Did you guys check this out? This is just some fun stuff. I don't see what they. I didn't know this, and that's the reason I found this. Have you heard of a phonon? Phonon. It's like a photon, but with sound.
Oh.
Yeah, you've heard of a photon. A photon is a number of light particles that are condensed together. A phonon is the same thing, but with sound particles, which is very strange.
Sound
waves.
is dependent upon an atmosphere of some kind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A photon, yeah, well, I guess, never mind.
Yeah. I mean, both are waves that require particles to
Right.
exist. So it's conceivably possible to do. And the technology they describe is one where they have this microscopic bead of material, like a silicate bead that is the size of a bacterium. And it's housed in a echo chamber device that they're able to amplify. And so all I can imagine is this bead being vibrated so that it can produce this sound wave, a condensed sound wave in a focused area that is the equivalence of a laser, but with sound instead of light.
Havana syndrome.
The what?
Havana
Havana,
syndrome.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Sorry.
Yeah, who knows?
I just read a book about it. It was there in my mind.
They've used that for years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those
The sound.
what do they call that? The brown notes.
Mhm.
Well,
There
I
was-
just did it. Oh, sorry. In the news today, I think they long-term analysis. There's no long-term damage to people that have been subjected to it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I read that too.
There was a group outside of Taos, kind of a small, disjointed hippie community that was subjected for years by the government of these vibratory sounds, this hum kind of thing. And nobody else could hear it because the government knew enough that if there was someone inquiring, they turned it off. And the group was so half stoned most of the time that nobody believed them anyways.
There were no WMDs in Iraq.
No,
And Anna
yeah,
Nicole
right.
Smith married for
But
love.
they did research on this group of people for years on sound related defensive weapons kind of thing.
You remember that line out of The Shooter?
That she married for love.
Yeah. And visiting the old guy.
Mm.
And he says, yep, and there were no WMDs in Iraq, and Anna Nicole Smith are married for money, are married for love.
Bill, what is this? I'm trying to follow this link and it's taking me to a Google search on the drinking bird generator.
Should take you to the Google drinking bird one.
Oh, it's taking.
So just click on, you'll go
I
to,
could have said that.
it'll go to YouTube, I think, doesn't it? The drinking bird is there, the one. It worked for me.
Yeah, I
What's
don't
your
know. I'm
problem?
having
Is that the
some.
one that we bought as a kid?
Yeah, only somebody
Obviously, I don't know.
hooked it up to something that generates electricity.
Okay.
It's,
So okay.
yeah, and they.
So instead of the balls, swinging balls too.
Certainly.
Oh, yeah, but that's different. This thing will keep going as long as there's water
Water
in the glass.
Yeah.
And they've got a generating system that will light up LEDs with this little bird. All he does is this all day.
So can you imagine the size of the bird you need to light up a
You're
city?
making your face.
Yeah.
I was just looking at where we are as
Or
far
how
as our
many.
How
timeline
many.
goes.
All in parallel or series. Didn't work?
No, I don't know why I'm having.
Well, I'm
problems
sorry.
bringing
I'm
it
not doing it again.
Yeah.
If you-
I'm,
if
I'm not
you as-
blaming you.
If you as the technical expert.
Don't take
can't-
offense. Do it
Well, I'm
again.
sure I'm going to be able to find it. I'll replace it with a link that does take me exactly where it should go.
Oh, I see.
So did we lose the rest of the
Rest of the groups with us?
group?
Yeah, we just moved between a couple of different views here.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody's still online with us. Is anybody out there that wants to contribute something to our meeting today? We're starting to we're on an hour going. We're completely able to dial down this meeting towards an end. If there's something out there somebody would like to add, please do it now. Otherwise, we tend to end our meetings with recommendations. Recommendations are not limited to TVs and movies, though we are junkies for that stuff. It can also be podcasts or websites, applications, events, books, anything that you think that we should know, something that you want to share with us that we would get value out of. It's this is the time to do it. And I already mentioned, I'm trying to bring it up so I can put it in the document. Your car may be spying on you. is the article.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and I highly recommend that. The Daily is a good synopsis of it as a podcast. If you want to listen to it, I recommend checking it out. It was, I guess, yesterday's. But
Did you put a year limit on that?
No. Why?
Well, because I have a 2000 and a 2005.
Car?
Yeah.
Oh, no, there is a limit on the car. Yeah, the actual models. Yeah. Yeah.
And where would that info be available?
About well, it seems like in this interview they talked about the last 10 years. I think that was a
Screwed again.
I just drive a 2000 vehicle.
Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting predicament. It's almost more where do we want our culture to go than it is how can you protect yourself from this. Stop. I didn't want to stop you. I didn't want to start you. I just want to make sure I had it. I want to get you linked.
She had a cute voice.
Yeah. Get in here. So that is my recommendation, as well as a movie that I just recently watched. I don't know if you guys have seen it, called Origin. Have you seen this? A 2023 movie?
Mm-mm.
I found it fascinating. The premise of this movie is that this main character, she's a writer. She's a writer of color. She's a Black woman. And she's writing a book, and she's exploring the idea of racism in the United States being more than just that, being something that is a result of a caste system that can be identified in cultures across the globe. And she's able to, in this movie, you see her tie these concepts together with the Nazis in Germany, the way that the Jews were treated. She ties it together with, and forgive me, I don't remember the terminology for the lowest class in India, but she does.
Untouchables.
Well, they have an Indian
they have a
term
name
for
for
it
it.
that I can't remember at the moment. But yeah, and it really is changing the focus. Like racism definitely exists in the United States.
There's a need to feel better than everybody else.
And this casting of people seems to go on since the very beginning. For some reason, when people organize, they organize these castes, and it doesn't matter whether you call it democracy or socialism or communism or whatever ism it might be. These castes still play roles in every one of these, and they're able to control these castes by keeping people in their castes through marriage and geographic location, where they go to school and where they live,
Or
and
promises of being able to move up.
Yeah.
Someday.
I found it a really, really interesting movie. I would recommend it for people to check out. It just explores a lot. She gets a lot of gruff feedback from her cast, from her people, going, no, it is racism. It's unfair to Black people, and she's like, no, it's deeper than that. It's much more. We've been put here to be this caste. It has less to do with the color of your skin and more to do with this role that they decided we had to play, and how it builds into the future, because everything has been built off of these caste systems.
There's this theory about that too, that something like anti-Semitism or Black negativism is related to testosterone levels, and it's much more prevalent among men than women.
What?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Scott, you're not going to be here
You don't
next
want
week, right?
to. You don't want to go there.
Or is it the week after?
Next week I will. Right now my plan is to be in Phoenix the week of April 1st.
Yay! We'll be here.
Because it's the last week my parents are in Phoenix, so I'm going to be visiting them.
April 1st.
Yeah, it's not a joke.
No. No, I won a lawsuit on April 1st.
Oh, all right.
And that wasn't a joke, huh? Yay.
No, it was against a 150 trucking company.
Ooh.
That fired me improperly.
Well, congratulations.
The first day
Well,
of
thank
spring.
Yes, it is.
Happy spring.
Happy spring. Oh, I'm going to write down Epic Browser as one of our recommendations for
Going
today.
quickly.
Any books, anything somebody wants to bring? Boy, Chester, you've been quiet. What do you got going on these days?
He's not there.
He's a,
Yeah, I'm here. I just had my sound turned so you couldn't hear my dog bark. Anyway, I don't have very much going on. I'm just watch a lot of YouTube and a lot of movies and kind of relax.
yeah, you got anything you want to recommend to us today?
Nothing that I wrote down. No, nothing that really hit me between the eyes.
I think that our first meeting is about to end, and I think we've reached the end of this meeting, so I don't think we need to go on to the next one. I'm just going to say goodbye at this point. And people are starting to cycle out of here, and we will plan on having another in-person meeting next Tuesday at 10 o'clock here in Tequilas. Until okay, and so until next Tuesday, everybody tech on. That was the end. Goodbye.
There you
We've finished it.
Scott, thank you.
You're welcome.